She came home from Cancun looking like a woman reborn. Sun-warmed skin, fresh highlights catching the light, that unmistakable glow people carry when they've just lived their best days. "How was the trip?" I asked, setting down my beer on the coffee table. "Amazing," Nicole said, dropping her suitcase by the stairs with a soft thud. "The resort was unbelievable. The beach, the food, the spa. Honestly, babe, it was exactly what I needed." She brushed a quick, distracted kiss across my cheek and headed upstairs to unpack. Her phone stayed on the kitchen counter, screen turned face down. She never did that. 2 hours later, someone knocked. When I opened the door, Marcus Chen stood on my porch, tie loosened, suit wrinkled, eyes bloodshot, hands trembling like he'd driven straight through a storm. Marcus was married to Nicole's best friend, Vanessa. 12 years together, 2 kids, the type of couple people pointed to as proof that commitment still existed. "Marcus?" I said. "You okay?" He didn't answer right away. He looked past me into the house. "Is Nicole here?" "Yeah, she just got back from—" "I know where she got back from." His voice cracked. "I need to talk to her, now." Something in the way he said it made my stomach tighten. "What's going on?" He pulled out his phone and turned the screen toward me. It was a photo taken at a beach resort at sunset. 2 women in sundresses holding drinks, smiling at the camera. Nicole and Vanessa. Behind them, slightly blurred but unmistakable, stood 2 men. One had his arm around Nicole's waist. The other was kissing Vanessa's neck. "That," Marcus said quietly, "was taken 4 days ago by a couple from Cincinnati who thought they recognized my wife. They sent it to me this morning." My throat dried. "There's more," he said, swiping again. "Nicole and the same man walking hand in hand into a hotel room. The guy's name is Raphael. He's a bartender at the resort. Vanessa met him 2 years ago on a work trip. She's been going back every few months," and he stopped, swallowed hard, then looked at me with something worse than anger. Pity. 6 months ago, she started bringing Nicole. The world tilted. Marcus lowered his voice. "I hired a PI. I have videos, receipts, messages. They've been running a whole system. Girls' trips to Cancun, Miami, Scottsdale, except it's not girls. It's them and their boyfriends." He handed me the phone. "I thought you deserved to know before I filed." I stared at the image of my wife smiling in a way I hadn't seen in years. Not for me, for a bartender named Raphael. Behind me, footsteps descended the stairs. "Babe, who's at the—" Nicole stopped when she saw Marcus. The color drained from her face instantly. "Marcus?" she whispered. "What are you doing here?" He said nothing, only looked at me. I lifted his phone slightly. "Want to explain this? If you want to know what happened when I played the videos Marcus's PI recorded, hit subscribe, because what I saw made me realize my wife wasn't just cheating. She was living a double life I'd been funding for 2 years. My name is Jason Mitchell. I'm 38 years old, and I live in Austin, Texas. I'm a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company. Good salary, stable life, nothing flashy, but comfortable. I met Nicole 9 years ago at a friend's wedding. She was a bridesmaid, I was a groomsman. We danced, talked, exchanged numbers. 6 months later, we were engaged. She was everything I believed I wanted. Smart, funny, driven. She worked in marketing for a boutique agency downtown. We bought a house in South Austin. 3 bedrooms, a backyard, a mortgage we could handle. For the first few years, life felt real, solid. Sunday mornings at the farmer's market, Thursday taco nights, yearly camping trips to Big Bend. We talked about kids someday. I thought we were building a future. She was building something too, just not with me. The girls' trips began about 2 years ago. Nicole and Vanessa had been inseparable since college. Brunch every weekend, yoga classes together, constant messages lighting up their phones. When Vanessa suggested a getaway to Cancun, I didn't hesitate. "Work's been overwhelming," Nicole said. "I just need to breathe for a few days. You don't mind, right?" "Of course not. You deserve it." She hugged me, grateful. "You're the best." That first trip was a long weekend. She returned relaxed, glowing, full of stories about sunsets and margaritas. "We should go together sometime," she said. "You'd love it." But we never did. 3 months later came Miami, then Scottsdale, then Cancun again. At first, every few months, then every 6 weeks, then monthly. Vanessa's struggling right now, Nicole explained. She needs me. I trusted her. Vanessa's marriage looked strong from the outside. I never imagined I was watching a performance. The trips followed a pattern. Booked weeks ahead, Thursday to Sunday, always all-inclusive. She packed lightly, sundresses and bikinis. The night before departure, she'd be energized, distracted, already gone in her mind. "I'll miss you," she'd say at the airport. "Miss you too. Have fun." And she did. She'd send occasional messages, beach photos, drinks by the pool, "Wish you were here." When she returned, she was radiant, energized, affectionate. I thought vacations refreshed her. Now I know guilt can look the same. 6 months ago, small inconsistencies began appearing. New lingerie she never wore for me, receipts that didn't make sense, charges at restaurants outside the resort, spa visits she claimed were too expensive, nightclub expenses, though she hated clubs. Every time I asked, she had answers ready, smooth, rehearsed, convincing. I wanted to believe her, so I did. 3 weeks ago, she prepared for Cancun with unusual excitement. New clothes, hair appointment, spray tan. "You look amazing," I told her. "Thanks, babe," she said, already distracted by her phone. "Who you texting?" "Just coordinating with Vanessa. Same flight." I dropped her at the airport at dawn. She kissed me goodbye and disappeared into the terminal. The house felt emptier than usual when I returned. While she was gone, her messages were brief, impersonal. When I called, she sounded far away. Sunday afternoon, I picked her up. She looked incredible. "How was it?" "Perfect," she said. "Exactly what I needed." She described the trip in vague details. That night, she was affectionate, intense, then asleep within minutes. I lay awake, sensing something unspoken between us. At 2 a.m., her phone lit up. "Raphael. Already missing you, Hermosa. Can't wait for next time." My blood turned cold. I stayed still, staring at the ceiling until sunrise. Monday morning, after she left for work, I opened her laptop. Still logged in. I searched his name. Dozens of emails. Messages filled with longing, plans, promises. This wasn't casual. It was deliberate, structured, planned. I dug deeper, found hotel confirmations. Not for the all-inclusive resorts she'd told me about, for a boutique hotel in downtown Cancun, adults-only romantic suites booked under her name. I found Venmo transactions, payments to someone named @Raphael Cancun, $200, $150, $300. The descriptions were emojis, hearts, cocktails, fire. I found photos in her cloud storage, her and Raphael on the beach, at a restaurant, in bed. His face was everywhere, tanned, handsome, younger than me. In one photo, he was kissing her neck while she laughed. In another, they were holding hands, walking along the shore at sunset. She looked happier than I'd ever seen her. I closed the laptop and sat in the silent kitchen, trying to process what I'd just learned. My wife wasn't just cheating, she was in love with someone else. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to scream, to throw her laptop across the room, to call her and demand answers. But another part of me, the part that had been trained by years of debugging code, knew I needed more information. I needed to understand the full scope before I acted. So I kept digging. I checked our credit card statements, found charges I'd missed before, flights to Cancun that didn't match her group booking story, charges at restaurants and bars in the hotel zone, Uber rides to addresses I didn't recognize. I cross-referenced the dates with her calendar. Every girl's trip lined up with a reservation at that boutique hotel. Every weekend with Vanessa was actually a weekend with Raphael. For 2 years, my wife had been living a double life, and I'd been funding it. That's when Marcus knocked on my door. I was sitting at my desk, staring at spreadsheets of evidence when I heard the knock. I opened the door to find Marcus Chen, looking like he hadn't slept in days. "Marcus, you okay, man?" He looked past me. "Is Nicole here?" "Yeah, she just got back from—" "I know where she got back from." His voice was tight, controlled, the voice of a man barely holding it together. "What's going on?" He pulled out his phone, turned it toward me. The photo on the screen made my world tilt. Nicole and Vanessa at a beach resort, sunset, drinks in hand. Behind them, two men. One had his arm around Nicole's waist, the other was kissing Vanessa's neck. That was taken 4 days ago, Marcus said, by a couple from Cincinnati who recognized Vanessa. They sent it to me this morning. I couldn't speak. Marcus swiped to the next photo. Nicole and Raphael holding hands walking into a hotel. I hired a PI, Marcus continued. I have videos, receipts, text messages. They've been doing this for 2 years. He looked at me with something worse than anger, pity. I thought you deserved to know before I filed. Behind me, I heard footsteps on the stairs. Babe, who's at the... Nicole froze when she saw Marcus. The glow drained from her face. Marcus? What are you doing here? He didn't answer, just looked at me. I held up his phone. Want to explain this? The silence that followed was deafening. Nicole's eyes darted between me, Marcus, and the phone in my hand. Jason, I said quietly. Don't insult me with a lie. Her mouth opened, closed. Marcus stepped forward. Where's Vanessa? She's at home, I think. No, she's not. I checked. His voice cracked. She's at a hotel with our kids. She left me this morning. Nicole's face went pale. She what? She said she couldn't do it anymore, that she was in love with someone else, that our marriage was over. He looked at her, and I saw the full weight of his pain. Did you know she was going to leave me? Nicole's silence was answer enough. Marcus's hands clenched into fists. How long have you been helping her cheat on me? I wasn't. Bullshit, his voice exploded. You've been covering for her. Every girl's trip, every lie, every time I asked if everything was okay and you said yes, you were helping her destroy my family. Nicola took a step back. Marcus, I'm sorry. Sorry. He laughed, bitter and broken. My kids are asking why Mommy doesn't live with us anymore. My son cried himself to sleep last night, and you're sorry? I set the phone down on the hall table. Marcus, maybe we should... No. He turned to me. You need to see this. All of it. He pulled up his phone and opened a video. My PI followed them last week. I need you to see what we're dealing with. He pressed play. The video was taken from a distance, but the image was clear. A beachside restaurant, evening, string lights, and ocean breeze. Nicole and Vanessa sat at a table with two men, Raphael and another guy, younger, fit, the kind of men who made a living off their looks. They were laughing, drinking, touching. Raphael's hand was on Nicole's thigh. The other man had his arm around Vanessa's neck. They looked like two couples on vacation, which I realized with a sick feeling is exactly what they were. The video continued. They finished dinner, walked along the beach, the men's arms around the women's waists. Then they split up. Vanessa and her guy headed toward one hotel. Nicole and Raphael headed toward another. The camera followed Nicole. She and Raphael walked through the lobby, into an elevator, down a hallway. They stopped at a door. Raphael unlocked it. Before they went inside, Nicole turned and kissed him. Not a peck, a real kiss, the kind that says, I love you. Then they disappeared into the room. The video ended. I stared at the black screen. My hands were numb. My chest felt hollow. Marcus's voice was quiet. There were 4 more videos. Different days, same pattern. I looked at Nicole. She was crying.
Silent tears streaming down her face. How long? I asked. Jason, how long have you been sleeping with him? She wiped her face. 2 years. 2 years. 730 days, 124 weeks, 24 girls' trips? All of it a lie. And Vanessa? Marcus asked. How long has she been cheating? Nicola's voice was barely a whisper. 3 years. Marcus made a sound like he'd been punched. 3 years, he repeated. Our youngest is 3 years old. The implications hung in the air. Is he mine? Marcus asked. Nicole didn't answer. Is he mine? I don't know, Nicole shouted. Vanessa doesn't know. She never got him tested. The room spun. Marcus stumbled backward, caught himself on the doorframe. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I don't remember Marcus leaving. One moment he was there, the next he was gone. It was just me and Nicole in the hallway. She tried to speak. Jason, please stop. I can explain. There's nothing to explain. My voice was calm. Too calm. You've been cheating on me for 2 years. You've been lying to me, using our money to fund your affair. That's it. That's the whole story. It's not that simple. It is exactly that simple. She reached for me. I stepped back. Don't touch me. Jason, please, I love you. No, you don't. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw a stranger. You love the life I gave you, the house, the stability, the safety, but you don't love me. That's not true. Then why? Why him? Why lie? Why not just leave? She didn't have an answer. Or maybe she did, and it was too ugly to say out loud. I walked past her, grabbed my keys from the hook. Where are you going? Out. Jason, we need to talk about this. No, I said, we don't. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. I walked out the door and didn't look back. I drove aimlessly for an hour through downtown Austin, past the lake, up into the hills. I ended up at a park overlook, staring at the city lights below. My phone buzzed. Nicole, please come home. We need to talk. I didn't respond. Another buzz. I'm sorry. I know I messed up, but we can fix this. Fix this? Like it was a broken appliance, a software bug, something you could patch and move on from. Another buzz. Jason, please, I love you. It was a mistake. A mistake. 2 years, dozens of trips, hundreds of lies. That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. I turned off my phone and sat in the silence. I didn't go home that night. I checked into a hotel near the airport, one of those extended stay places with a kitchenette and a pull-out couch. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to process everything. My wife had been living a double life. My marriage was a lie. Everything I thought I knew was wrong. At some point, I fell asleep. When I woke up, it was 6 a.m. I had 17 missed calls from Nicole and 1 text from Marcus. I filed this morning. My lawyer says you should do the same. I'm sorry, man. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I opened my laptop and searched for divorce attorneys in Austin. I found a lawyer named Catherine Ross, former prosecutor now specializing in family law. Her website was no nonsense, no stock photos of happy families, just a headshot and a simple message: protecting your rights, preserving your dignity. I called her office at 8 a.m. Ross Law, how can I help you? I need to file for divorce. Okay, can you tell me a little about your situation? I gave her the short version. Married 9 years, wife cheating for 2 years, evidence of the affair. Do you have children? No. Shared assets? A house? 2 cars, joint bank accounts. Okay, I can see you this afternoon, 2 o'clock. I'll be there. Catherine Ross's office was in a small building near downtown. Clean, professional, no frills. She was in her 50s, sharp-eyed, with the kind of presence that made you feel like you were in good hands. Mr. Mitchell, she said, shaking my hand, tell me everything. I did. I told her about the trips, the lies, the evidence Marcus had shown me. I showed her the emails, the receipts, the photos I'd found on Nicole's laptop. Catherine took notes, her expression neutral. When she finished, she set down her pen. This is a strong case. Texas is a no-fault state, but adultery is still a factor in asset division. With this much evidence, we can argue that she violated the marital contract. What does that mean? It means you're entitled to a larger share of the marital assets, the house, the cars, the retirement accounts. We can also argue that she should reimburse you for the money spent on her affairs. I blinked. We can do that? We can try. It's called dissipation of marital assets. If she used joint funds for personal benefit, in this case her affair, you can ask the court to make her pay it back. For the first time in 24 hours, I felt something other than numbness. Hope. Catherine walked me through the process, filing the petition, serving Nicole, discovery, mediation, trial if it came to that. How long does this take? In Texas, there's a mandatory 60-day waiting period, but with contested assets, it could take 6 months to a year. And if she fights it, then we fight back.
Catherine leaned forward. "Mr. Mitchell, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen every trick in the book. Your wife will likely try to minimize her affair, claim it was a mistake, argue that she deserves half of everything because she contributed to the marriage. But she didn't. I know, and will prove it, but you need to be prepared for this to get ugly." I nodded. "I'm ready." "Good." She slid a contract across the desk. "Then let's get started." I signed. Nicole was served the next day. I wasn't there. A process server delivered the papers to her at work. She called me immediately. I didn't answer. She called again and again. Finally, I texted, "Talk to my lawyer." Her response came fast. "Jason, please, we can work this out. Don't do this." I didn't respond. An hour later, she showed up at the hotel. I don't know how she found me. Maybe she tracked my credit card. Maybe she called every hotel in Austin. But there she was, knocking on my door at 8 p.m. "Jason, please let me in." I opened the door but didn't step aside. "What do you want?" "I want to talk." "There's nothing to talk about." "Yes, there is." Her eyes were red, swollen. "I made a mistake."
A huge mistake. "But we can fix this." "No, we can't." "Jason, you cheated on me for 2 years, Nicole. You lied to my face. You used our money to fund your affair. There's no fixing that." "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like?" I asked. "Explain it to me. Make me understand how you could do this." She opened her mouth, closed it. "That's what I thought." I started to close the door. She put her hand on it. "I love you." "No, you don't." "I do. I know I messed up, but I love you. I want to save our marriage." I looked at her. "Really?" Looked at her and saw the desperation in her eyes. Not desperation to save us. Desperation to save herself. "You don't love me," I said quietly. "You love the life I gave you, and now that it's falling apart, you're scared." "That's not true." "Go home, Nicole." "Jason, go home and don't come back." I closed the door. She stood there for a long time. I could see her shadow under the door. Then, finally, she left. Over the next 2 weeks, Catherine and I built the case. We compiled every receipt, every email, every photo. We calculated how much money Nicole had spent on her affair. Flights, hotels, dinners, gifts. The total was staggering, $47,000. Nearly $50,000 of our joint money spent on another man. "We're going to ask for full reimbursement," Catherine said, "plus a larger share of the house equity. Will we get it? Depends on the judge, but with this much evidence, I'd say we have a good shot." Nicole's lawyer reached out to Catherine. They wanted to mediate, avoid a trial. "What do you think?" I asked. "I think they're scared," Catherine said. "They know we have a strong case. They want to settle before it gets worse." "What should I do?" "That's up to you. But if we go to trial, we can push for more. If we settle, we can end this faster." I thought about it, about dragging this out for months, about sitting in a courtroom listening to Nicole's lawyer paint me as the bad guy, about the time, the money, the emotional toll. "Let's mediate," I said, "but I'm not backing down on the reimbursement." Fair enough. The mediation was held in a conference room downtown, neutral territory, a mediator to keep things civil. Nicole sat across from me, her lawyer beside her. She looked smaller than I remembered, tired, defeated. The mediator started. "We're here to discuss the terms of the divorce. Let's begin with assets." Catherine laid out our position. I keep the house, Nicole keeps her car, we split the retirement accounts, and Nicole reimburses me $47,000 for the money spent on her affair. Nicole's lawyer bristled. "That's excessive." "It's documented," Catherine interrupted. "Every dollar is accounted for. Flights, hotels, meals, gifts, all paid for with joint funds while she was engaged in an extramarital affair." The mediator looked at Nicole. "Is this accurate?" She nodded barely. "Then it's a reasonable request," the mediator said. Nicole's lawyer tried to negotiate, offered $20,000, then $30,000. Catherine didn't budge. Full reimbursement or we go to trial. Finally, Nicole spoke. "Fine, I'll pay it." Her lawyer looked at her, surprised. "Nicole, I said, fine." Her voice was flat, empty. "I just want this over." We signed the agreement that day. I got the house, Nicole got her car and half the retirement accounts. She agreed to pay me $47,000 in installments over 2 years. The divorce would be final in 60 days. As we left the conference room, Nicole caught my arm. "Jason, I said it's done. I just want you to know I'm sorry for everything." I looked at her one last time. "I know you are, but sorry doesn't fix this." I walked away. 60 days later, the divorce was final. I got the papers in the mail, signed by a judge, official. I sat in the house, my house now, and stared at the document. 9 years of marriage, reduced to a few pages of legal text. It should have felt like closure. Instead, it just felt empty. I threw myself into work, picked up extra projects, stayed late at the office, anything to avoid going home to an empty house. Marcus and I stayed in touch. He was going through his own hell. Vanessa had admitted the affair, admitted she didn't know if their youngest was Marcus's. He demanded a paternity test. The results came back 2 weeks later. The boy was his. Marcus cried when he told me. Relief and heartbreak all at once. "At least I have that," he said. "At least I know he's mine." Vanessa didn't fight the divorce. She moved to Cancun permanently to be with her bartender. She left her kids behind. Marcus got full custody. 6 months after the divorce, I was still living in the house, still driving the same car, still going through the motions. One Saturday, I was at Home Depot buying paint for the guest room when I ran into someone. "Jason." I turned. It was Sarah, an old friend from college. I hadn't seen her in years. "Sarah!" "Hey!" We hugged, caught up. She'd moved back to Austin after a divorce of her own. "Want to grab coffee sometime?" she asked. "Yeah, I'd like that." Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into a second date. Sarah was easy to talk to. She didn't ask about Nicole, didn't pry into my past. She just listened. After our third date, we were walking along the lake when she stopped. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Are you okay?" "Really?" I thought about it. "I'm getting there." "Good," she smiled, "because you deserve to be happy." For the first time in months, I believed her. A year after the divorce, I sold the house. Too many memories, too many ghosts. I bought a condo downtown, smaller, simpler, mine. Sarah helped me move in. We painted the walls together, hung pictures, made it feel like home. One night we were sitting on the balcony watching the city lights when she said, "You know what I like about you?" "What?" "You didn't let it break you." I looked at her. It almost did, but it didn't. She took my hand. That's what matters. I ran into Nicole once, about 2 years after the divorce. She was at a coffee shop downtown, alone. "Nicole," she said, surprised. "Jason." Awkward silence. "How are you?" she asked. "Good. You?" "I'm managing." I nodded. "Good." More silence. "I heard you're seeing someone," she said. "I am." "That's great. I'm happy for you." She didn't look happy. She looked hollow. "Take care, Nicole." "You too." I walked away and didn't look back. 3 years after the divorce, Sarah and I got married. Small ceremony, close friends. Marcus was my best man. Standing at the altar, watching Sarah walk toward me, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not because I'd gotten revenge, not because Nicole had suffered, but because I'd chosen to move forward, to build something new, something real. If you've ever been betrayed, if you've ever had someone you trusted destroy your life, if you've ever had to rebuild from nothing, this one's for you. Comment "rebuilt." If this story hit home, hit subscribe for more stories about finding strength in the wreckage, because the best revenge isn't making them pay,